Ladies and gentlemen, there is a force within you greater than any obstacle, any temptation, any distraction. It's the power of discipline, divinely gifted, patiently nurtured, and fiercely powerful. In a world full of noise and endless options pulling us in every direction, the one who learns to command their actions, to control their impulses, and to stay the course becomes unstoppable. Discipline isn't a burden, it's a blessing. It's not about denial, but destiny. It's not about being harsh with yourself, but about believing in yourself so deeply that you refuse to settle for anything less than your best. There are people who dream, and there are people who do, and the only difference between the two is discipline. That quiet decision to get up when it's easier to sleep in, that choice to walk in purpose instead of comfort. Discipline is that sacred yes to your calling and a holy no to everything that doesn't serve it. And when you anchor your discipline in faith, when you lean on the strength of God to guide you, renew you, and sustain you, you begin to rise. You begin to become the person you were created to be. So today, I invite you to step forward with a new resolve. Not just to try harder, but to believe deeper. Believe that your life has purpose. Believe that with God's help, you can train your thoughts, command your actions, and shape your destiny. Because discipline, my friend, is not about willpower alone. It's about spiritual power. And that power is already in you. Let's awaken it together. Discipline is the bridge between dreams and reality. It is the sacred thread that connects the life you imagine with the life you live. Every great achievement, every fulfilled dream, every mountain climbed was made possible not just by talent or opportunity, but by consistent discipline. It is the unseen force that quietly does the work when no one is watching. It is the hand that guides you through doubt, through delay, through distraction. Without discipline, dreams remain wishful thinking. With discipline, those dreams are translated into action, and from action into results. There is something powerfully spiritual about discipline. It says, I trust the process. I believe in the promise. I am willing to walk the long, steady road to get there. Discipline doesn't shout. It doesn't seek attention. It just keeps showing up. It rises when the feeling is gone, when the mood has faded, when others have quit. Discipline whispers, keep going. And each time you obey, your dream inches closer to your reality. Most people want to succeed. Most people want to change. They have the vision, they even have the intention, but intention is not enough. Intention without discipline is like a car without fuel. It may look good, but it won't take you anywhere. Discipline is the fuel. It's what turns I want to into I did. It transforms an idea into a lifestyle. You can pray for change, hope for change, wish for change, but without discipline, you'll never move forward. Dreams do not come true by accident. They come true by effort, focus, and unwavering commitment over time. Now, this is not to say discipline is easy. No, it will test you. It will ask you to choose long-term reward over short-term pleasure. It will challenge you to say no to things that feel good right now, so you can say yes to something greater later. But don't be discouraged. You don't have to do it alone. You are not leaning only on your willpower. You're leaning on a deeper power, a spiritual power. When you invite God into your discipline, you invite strength beyond your own. You can say, Lord, help me stay the course. Give me strength to do today what will bless my tomorrow. And He will answer. With faith and action working hand in hand, discipline becomes not just possible, but powerful. Each small act of discipline you practice becomes a stone laid on the bridge between where you are and where you're going. Waking up early to plan your day, taking time to exercise, choosing to read instead of scroll, speaking with kindness when frustration rises. All these are acts of discipline. They may seem small, even unnoticed, but each one carries you forward. Every step counts. Every moment matters. The most remarkable lives are not built in a day. They are built daily. So don't wait for motivation to strike. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Start now. Begin with what you have from where you are. Let discipline be your declaration that your dreams are worth the effort. Let it be your daily offering, your steady march toward greatness. Hold fast to your vision and commit to the actions that lead you there. When the world pulls you in 100 directions, let your discipline pull you back to your purpose. Because when you walk with discipline, you walk with power. And when you walk with power, no dream is out of reach. Discipline is not about punishment. It is not about being hard on yourself, denying yourself joy, or living a rigid, joyless life. No, discipline is self, love in motion. It is the daily expression of belief in your future. It's the steady voice inside you that says, I am worth the effort, my dreams matter, my life has meaning. When you see discipline through that lens, everything changes. It stops feeling like a burden and starts feeling like a blessing. You begin to understand that every choice you make in discipline is a vote for the person you want to become. At the heart of true discipline is a positive mental attitude. You cannot sustain discipline by beating yourself up. You cannot walk the road of progress with a heavy heart and a defeated mind. No, you must carry yourself with hope. You must speak to yourself with kindness, because when you believe you can, something inside you rises to meet the challenge. When you say, I can do this, even when it's hard, your mind begins to support you instead of sabotaging you. You may not feel strong, but faith gives you strength. You may not see the full path, but a positive attitude lights the next step. So often, people fail to stay disciplined not because they lack ability, but because they lack belief. They look in the mirror and say, I always fail, or I'll never change, and those words become a cage. But when you shift your words, when you start telling yourself, I am growing, I am learning, I am getting stronger every day, then even your small victories begin to feel like progress, and progress inspires more discipline. That is the secret. Discipline grows in the soil of self-belief. You are not weak for struggling. You are not broken because you slip up sometimes. You are human. But discipline gives you the power to get back up, to try again, to move forward even when it's slow. A positive mental attitude says, I am not where I want to be, but thank God I am not where I used to be. It celebrates effort. It honors growth. It speaks life even in difficulty. And that encouragement fuels the next step and the next and the next. Never forget that your mind is your most powerful tool. What you feed it, it will reflect. If you fill it with faith, with gratitude, with bold vision and holy confidence, it will serve you well. But if you let it feed on doubt, fear, comparison, and shame, it will tear you down from within. So choose your thoughts the way you would choose your companions. Let them uplift you. Let them remind you that you are not alone in this journey, that God is walking with you, and that every act of discipline is a seed sown toward your future. This is not about perfection. It is about intention. It is about waking up each day and choosing to believe in your worth, your calling, your ability to rise. Let your discipline be an act of love, a declaration of faith, a quiet anthem that says, I was made for more, and I will not quit on myself. Because with a positive mental attitude and steady discipline, there is no limit to what you can become. Keep going, keep believing, keep becoming when the storms of life come, and they will. Your willpower alone may not always be enough to keep you steady. That's when you need something deeper, something stronger, something eternal. That's when you need faith. Faith is the anchor that holds you firm when the winds of discouragement try to blow you off course. Discipline is not merely about routines or schedules. It is about trusting in a higher power to walk with you and carry you when your own strength runs out. Because let's be honest, there are days when your energy is low, your emotions are high, and giving up seems easier than pressing on. But that is exactly where faith steps in and does what willpower cannot. Faith reminds you that you were never meant to walk this journey alone. It reminds you that God is not just watching from a distance. He is walking beside you, strengthening you, guiding you, encouraging you. There's a sacred promise in Philippians 4:13 that says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. That's not just a verse to recite. It's a truth to live by. When your heart is weary and your discipline feels weak, you can lean on that promise. You can say, Lord, I may not feel strong, but I know you are. Help me stay the course. And he will. That divine strength, that spiritual fire, becomes the fuel that keeps you moving forward even when the path is long and hard. There is a reason why some people stay consistent through setbacks, why they keep their focus in the middle of chaos, why they rise again after every fall. It's not just because they are disciplined, it's because they are anchored. Their discipline is not dependent on how they feel, or what the world says, or how the day unfolds. It is rooted in faith. It is strengthened through prayer. It is renewed through grace. They have learned that even on their weakest days, they are not powerless. Because God's strength is made perfect in our weakness, that kind of discipline, the kind rooted in faith, is not frantic, forced, or fueled by fear. It's calm, committed, and filled with purpose. It's the kind of discipline that says, I may be tired, but I am not quitting. I may be tested, but I am not turning back. I may be stretched, but I am not broken. Because when your foundation is built on God's promises, you begin to understand that every act of discipline is an act of worship. Every time you resist distraction, every time you choose focus over comfort, every time you press forward in faith, you are honoring not just your goals, but your God. You see, discipline without faith can feel like a burden. It can feel like striving without strength. But when faith becomes your source, discipline becomes your joy. It becomes your offering, your obedience, your partnership with the divine. You are no longer just trying harder. You are trusting deeper. And that trust brings peace. It brings perseverance. It brings power. So if today you feel like giving up, pause and pray. If you feel like you can't go on, lift your eyes and remember who walks with you. Speak the words aloud. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Let that be your anthem. Let that be your anchor. Because with God's strength flowing through your discipline, there is no habit you cannot break, no goal you cannot reach, and no version of yourself that is too far gone. You are capable. You are chosen. You are strengthened, and you are never alone. Keep going, keep trusting, and let your faith carry your discipline all the way to victory. The secret to a transformed life is not found in sudden leaps, but in small, steady steps repeated daily. Great lives are not built overnight. They are shaped moment by moment, habit by habit, decision by decision. When you look at someone who seems to have strength, peace, success, or spiritual power, you're not seeing luck or ease. You're seeing consistency. You're seeing the fruit of daily renewal. It's not about doing everything in one day. It's about doing the right things every day. The difference between drifting and rising lies in the quiet power of what you do each morning, each evening, and in every in-between moment. Morning routines are not just about getting things done. They are about grounding yourself. They are about setting the tone for your mind and spirit before the world can set it for you. When you wake up and immediately fill your mind with social media, news, and noise, you are surrendering control of your spirit to outside forces. But when you begin your day with intention, whether it's reading a devotional, sitting in silence, journaling your thoughts, or simply thanking God for another day, you take back that control. You begin from a place of strength. That's daily renewal. That's discipline. One of the most powerful tools you can use in this process is affirmation. Not empty words, but deep, faith-rooted truths spoken aloud. Words carry energy. They shape our beliefs. They guide our actions. When you declare in the morning, I am focused, I am capable, I am led by God, you are planting seeds into your subconscious mind. Over time, those seeds take root. They begin to influence your choices, your attitude, and your reaction. Affirmations are not magic, but they are mighty. They help you train your thoughts to align with your purpose. They shift you from fear to faith, from chaos to clarity, from doubt to confidence. And then there is prayer, the most vital, most powerful part of daily renewal. Prayer is not just a religious act. It is a relationship. It is a connection to the source of all strength, all wisdom, all love. When you start your day in prayer, you are not just hoping for a good day. You are inviting heaven into your decisions. You are asking for divine guidance, for peace that surpasses understanding, for clarity that cuts through confusion. In prayer, you lay down yesterday's failures and pick up today's grace. You stop carrying the weight alone. You step into the day knowing that God is with you, working through you. These three routine, affirmation, and prayer may seem simple, but their power lies in repetition. When done once, they are helpful. When done daily, they are transformative. They become your compass. They center you. They remind you who you are and whose you are. And over time, they build the kind of discipline that doesn't waver with emotions or circumstances. You begin to act from principle, not pressure. You begin to lead yourself before trying to lead others. You begin to carry peace into every place you go. If you want a great life, build great habits. And if you want great habits, commit to daily renewal. Don't wait for motivation. Don't wait for the perfect moment. The perfect moment is now. Start small. Start simply, but start and keep going. Because every morning you choose discipline, every word you speak in faith, every prayer you lift to heaven is laying a brick in the foundation of your future. Keep building, keep renewing, and one day you'll look back and see that the life you dreamed of was built one faithful day at a time. The journey to a disciplined life begins in the mind long before it shows up in your actions. What you focus on will either pull you forward or drag you down. If you fix your eyes on the struggle, if you only see the sacrifice, the hardship, the pain, then discipline will feel like a weight you carry every day. But if you learn to shift your focus, if you train your mind to see the end goal, the dream, the reward, then discipline becomes a pathway, not a prison. It becomes something sacred, something energizing, because now it has a purpose beyond the moment. Your mind is like a spotlight, and wherever you shine it, that part of your life begins to grow. If you constantly shine it on how hard it is to wake up early, how hard it is to say no to distractions, how tiring it is to keep going, you will feel drained. But if you shine it on the vision you are moving toward, the healthy body, the strong character, the peaceful life, the fulfilled dream, then you begin to feel renewed. You remind yourself, this effort has a purpose. This pain is temporary. This sacrifice is not in vain. Visualization is not a fantasy. It is fuel. When you clearly see where you are going, when you picture the life you are building, it strengthens your will to do the work. That's why athletes visualize the finish line. That's why entrepreneurs see the victory before the first sale. That's why people of faith declare God's promises before they ever see them fulfilled. Because when the mind sees it clearly, the body starts to move with confidence. When your goal becomes real in your spirit, discipline stops feeling like effort and starts feeling like alignment. You're no longer forcing yourself. You are flowing with purpose, but it takes intention. You must learn to close your eyes and see beyond your current circumstances. You must see yourself as focused, not distracted, as strong, not weak, as a finisher, not a quitter. You must visualize not only the success, but the joy of walking in your purpose. Imagine the peace that comes from keeping promises to yourself. Imagine the strength of living without regret. Imagine the reward of becoming the person you were created to be. Hold that vision tightly, especially on the days when it feels far away. You see, the mind is easily swayed by emotion. There will be days when you don't feel like showing up. There will be moments when the old habits seem more comforting than the new ones. That's when your vision must be louder than your mood. That's when you must remind yourself of the destination. Discipline lives in those reminders. It thrives in clarity. When your why is strong enough, your how becomes consistent. Every step of discipline you take is a step away from who you used to be and a step closer to who you were born to become. And if the steps feel hard, that's because they're building something real. Nothing meaningful is ever built without effort. But effort becomes easier when your eyes are on the prize. So don't let your mind dwell on what you're giving up. Focus on what you're gaining. You're gaining strength. You're gaining self-respect. You're gaining control over your destiny. You're not just sacrificing. You're investing. And one day, you'll look around and realize that everything you once hoped for is now part of your reality. Not because it came easy, but because you kept your vision alive and your discipline strong. Keep looking forward, keep visualizing the reward, and keep walking in faith, step by step, until your vision becomes your life. One of the most overlooked secrets to building and maintaining discipline is the company you keep. The people around you are either watering your growth or draining your strength. You may have all the right intentions, the clearest goals, and the strongest willpower, but if you're constantly surrounded by people who pull you away from your purpose, eventually, even the most disciplined spirit begins to falter. Discipline does not thrive in isolation. It flourishes in the soil of encouragement, accountability, and shared vision. That's why it is so important to associate with the right people, people who lift you higher, not hold you back. Your environment is shaping you every single day, whether you realize it or not. Spend time with people who complain constantly, and you'll find yourself adopting their mindset. Walk with those who make excuses, and excuses will start to feel like truth. But surround yourself with people who are committed to growth, people who challenge themselves, people who hold themselves to a higher standard, and you will feel the call to rise. You'll feel the energy of excellence, and it will inspire your own discipline to deepen. There is power in being connected to those who walk in purpose. When you are around individuals who are focused, driven, prayerful, and disciplined, it creates a rhythm of accountability in your own life. You begin to realize that you are not alone in your struggles. You are not the only one waking up early to pursue a dream, not the only one fighting temptation, not the only one choosing the hard but holy path of discipline. In that shared journey, your strength is renewed. Discipline becomes easier when someone is walking beside you, reminding you of who you are, encouraging you when you're tired, calling you higher when you want to settle. That's why you must be intentional about your relationships. Choose friends, mentors, and partners who want to see you grow, people who speak life into your efforts, people who see your potential and aren't afraid to call it out, even when you've forgotten it yourself. These are the people who become part of your discipline, not through pressure, but through presence. They are examples, they are supporters, they are mirrors reflecting back to you the version of yourself you're trying to become. This also means you must have the courage to let go of relationships that pull you in the wrong direction. That doesn't mean judgment or bitterness. It means choosing your purpose over your comfort. Some people were part of your past but don't belong in your future. And that's okay. You can love them from a distance while surrounding yourself with those who help you stay aligned with your goals, your values, and your faith. Discipline is not just about managing your habits. It's about managing your environment. And nothing shapes your environment more than the voices you allow to speak into your life. So guard that space. Protect your peace. Choose companions who inspire you to rise, not relax. Let your circle be a reflection of where you're going, not where you've been. And remember, you are not just influenced by others. You are an influence yourself. Be the kind of person who lifts others higher. Be the voice of encouragement someone else needs. Be the example of discipline and purpose someone else can follow. In doing so, you not only strengthen your own journey, but you create a ripple effect that empowers others to walk theirs. The company you keep matters. Choose wisely, walk intentionally, and let your relationships become a source of strength as you stay committed to your discipline, your calling, and your purpose. Failure is not the end of discipline. It is a necessary part of it. Too often we treat failure as a sign that we are not strong enough, not committed enough, not worthy enough to keep going. But the truth is, failure is proof that you are trying. It's a sign that you are moving, stretching, reaching for something greater than where you are right now. Every person who has ever achieved anything significant has stumbled along the way. The difference is not that they never failed. The difference is that they refused to stay down. They failed forward. They fell, yes, but they got up stronger, wiser, and more determined than before. There is a kind of grace that surrounds discipline, a quiet strength that says, you don't have to be perfect to keep going. You don't have to wait until you feel ready. You don't have to restart your journey just because you made a mistake. Discipline is not a straight path. It's a winding road filled with detours and lessons. The ones who make it to the top are not the ones who never slipped, but the ones who learn to keep walking after the fall. They learn to give themselves grace, to look at failure not as defeat, but as direction. When you miss a step, when you skip the workout, fall back into an old habit, or lose your focus, it's easy to hear the voice of shame. That voice says, "See, you'll never change. You're not strong enough. You've ruined your progress." But that voice is a lie. The truth is, one bad moment does not erase the progress of many good ones. One mistake does not cancel your momentum. You are not back at zero. You are not starting from scratch. You are starting from experience, and in that experience you find wisdom. You begin to understand what triggered the slip. You learn how to better prepare next time. You discover how much strength you truly have when you choose not to quit. That is the beauty of failing forward. You don't just recover, you rise. You rise with more clarity, more compassion for yourself, and more courage to keep going. Because discipline is not about being perfect every day. It's about showing up every day, even after you fall. This is where faith becomes your foundation. Because when you fail, it's not your willpower that lifts you. It's your belief that God's grace is bigger than your weakness. It's the truth that His mercy is new every morning. It's the quiet confidence that says, I may have failed, but I am not a failure. I may have fallen, but I am not finished. That belief breathes new life into your journey. It gives you the strength to start again, not from despair, but from hope. Discipline without grace becomes cruelty. It becomes a cycle of trying and punishing, striving and shaming. But when you bring grace into it, discipline becomes a path of growth. It becomes a space where you can try, fall, learn, and rise, all in the same journey. You begin to treat yourself with kindness, not excuses. You don't lower the standard, but you lift your spirit. You say, yes, I missed it yesterday, but today I rise with purpose. So if you've fallen, don't quit. Don't get stuck in guilt. Get back up. Start again. Pick up where you left off. The strength of your discipline is not measured by how many times you fall. It's measured by how many times you choose to rise. And every time you rise, you are rewriting your story. You are building resilience. You are proving to yourself and the world that failure is not your end, it's your teacher. Keep walking. Keep believing. And keep failing forward with grace. Discipline is often misunderstood. People hear the word and think of restriction, of rules, of routines that feel rigid and lifeless. They imagine discipline as something that takes joy away from life, something that boxes you in and steals your freedom. But the truth is far more powerful. Discipline is not your prison. It is your pathway to freedom. It doesn't take from your life, it gives to it. It doesn't chain you down, it lifts you up. The very thing people think will confine them is what will actually set them free. When you are undisciplined, your life becomes ruled by impulse. You eat whatever feels good in the moment, spend time on whatever looks interesting, and delay every important task because your emotions say it can wait. But what begins as freedom quickly becomes frustration. You feel scattered, you feel drained, you feel stuck in cycles you can't break. You live by what feels good now only to regret it later, and that's not freedom. That's bondage disguised as choice. It's living reactively, not intentionally. Discipline changes that. Discipline puts you back in control. It teaches you to say no to the lesser so that you can say yes to the greater. It's the strength to walk away from distraction because you know there's something more meaningful waiting for you. It's the power to delay pleasure now so that you can enjoy peace later. It's the wisdom to live today in a way that your future self will thank you for. And that's true freedom. That's living with purpose instead of pressure, with direction instead of disorder. A disciplined life is a free life because it's a life not controlled by every feeling and fleeting desire. When you choose discipline, you're not saying no to joy. You're saying yes to lasting joy, the kind that comes from knowing you're aligned with your values, your purpose, and your potential. You feel stronger because you're no longer a prisoner of your impulses. You walk lighter because you're not burdened by regret. You breathe deeper because you know you're moving toward the life you were created to live. Freedom is not doing whatever you want, whenever you want. That kind of life leaves you scattered, exhausted, and unfulfilled. True freedom is having the clarity and strength to live according to what really matters. And discipline is the tool that gives you that strength. It becomes a compass, pointing you back to your values when you lose your way. It becomes a shield, protecting your energy, your time, and your heart from things that don't deserve them. It becomes a ladder, lifting you above distraction and noise so that you can rise to new levels of excellence. Think about any great achievement, a strong marriage, a successful career, a healthy body, a deep spiritual life. None of these come by accident. They all require discipline. They require saying no to something easy so that you can say yes to something extraordinary. That's not loss. That's freedom. The freedom to grow. The freedom to choose. The freedom to become more than you ever imagined. So if discipline feels difficult, remember this. You are not giving up your freedom. You are claiming it. You are stepping away from chaos and stepping into control. You are choosing a life of purpose over a life of pressure. You are not being held back. You are being propelled forward. Discipline may feel hard in the moment, but it leads to a life of clarity, peace, and power. And in that life, you will discover the beautiful truth. Discipline was never your enemy. It was always your key to freedom. So stand tall, walk boldly, and let the mighty force of discipline, fueled by faith, lift you to heights you never dreamed possible. For with God as your strength and purpose as your guide, nothing can stop the determined soul who refuses to quit